Hey everyone, Alex, Tam, and Candy here, and today we are talking about real estate from Zephyr Equity Group. We always want to give value on what real estate is, how you can really outperform the market. We've got some great questions, right? So, Candy, ask away. What are our viewers asking? What are some topics we're going to talk about today?
Thank you, Alex. So, our viewers are actually asking how to recession proof your real estate investments.
I mean, that's a big topic, right? A lot of people ask. Last night, we actually had a Q&A on one of the investments that we have. And that's what someone asked. It's like, how do we make sure that, with the inflation and everything that's going on, well, how do we recession proof our investments? Number one is investments, or inflation, I should say, is actually really good for real estate. Real estate is one of those investments where as inflation starts going up and things starts costing more, what ends up costing more as well is rent starts end up costing more. But you also have to look at locations. Are people's salaries keeping up with the rent? In general, the base standard is that rent's maximum rent is 30% of people's income. Okay. 30% roughly. So, for example, if the average income is $50,000 in an area, right, per year, and you divide that or you times that by zero point 0.3 and you divide it by 12, people who are making 50,000 in general can afford $1,200 in rent. Well, if now all of a sudden rent in that area is maybe 1,000 and it jumps up to 1,100, that's still within that 30%, right? What you don't want to be in a location in right now is when inflation's going really rapid, is in an area where the salary is not catching up. For example, let's talk about an area where, city areas like New York, right? If in New York the salary is 100,000, let's just say average, easy numbers, and you divide that or you times that by zero point 0.3, that's 30,000 in rent. You divide it by 12 and it's 2,500. What I know is a one bedroom, one bath right now in New York averages about $4,500, right? 4,500 times 12, okay, is $54,000. So people are spending almost close to over 50% on the rent. So that area might not be compensating for the inflation because things are costing more, but people aren't necessarily making more. Whereas areas that have lower cost of living, you can still continue to go up and not be a problem. See, but the other thing is that, as a investor, you have to look at, is the property that you are investing in, are they ready for that? Do they have enough reserves where if indeed, if the rent starts going down or the rental rate starts going down, does the underwriting make up for it? And a lot of the underwriting that we do is very conservative. For example, the recent one that we did, we're conservatively underwriting for a $250 rent bump. But we know that as market rates sits right now, we can go up to 400 to 450. So even at 250, we're going to still do great and be able to cash flow.
All right, that's great to know, Alex. And what advice, for the investors, would you give to create a recession proof strategy?
Well, you have to look at the advice I would give people is you have to underwrite very conservatively right now because no one knows where the interest rates are going. So you have to underwrite for higher interest rates and make sure that your property is with the value add. You're still going to cash flow even though interest rate starts going up. And that's really, really important so that you're never in the negative.
You mentioned about like investing in a property that can grow in value. Can you tell us
Mhm.
something more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. There are value add properties versus properties that are just appreciating in play. So a value add property, you can value add in a property in multiple ways. There are ways where you can go in, and sometimes it's just management. It's just being poorly managed, right? And rents aren't being raised, or that's one of the reasons because the property is not well taken care of, like the lawn's not being mowed, no one's picking up the trash, right? The pool's not clean. Maybe the fitness area is not well done. The lights aren't well lit. There's no cameras. I mean, the parking lot might be old and needs repaving. The roof is not done. The windows are terrible. I mean, depending on what it is, a lot of times, instead of doing a complete renovation of the property, let's really look at how you can manage the property correctly. That is usually one of the first things we look at is how do we value add in managing the property correctly? And then from there, you can look at, okay, well, now that we know the management is done correctly, how do we get the apartment up to par with the other apartments around you? And that's why we like to look for properties that are in B's or A neighborhood but may not have been renovated yet. They're like C apartments, but in B neighborhoods. So now we will renovate them up to a B standard and be able to raise rents that way. So it could be on par with all the apartments next to us. You never really want to be the best looking apartment on the block, which means you don't want to go into a C location, right? And then put A building in that area because people who are looking for A buildings are not going to want to live in a C neighborhood.
All right. And as you look for recession-proof investments, how could you or how could you increase the property's value?
Well, what we do is number one, renovations, right? And increasing NOI and then controlling the expenses. Also working with contractors to control the renovation costs as well. We like to have property management that we have worked with before, that we know are great at what they do. So they're able to control the costs while we're doing the renovations. And then once we renovate, rents are naturally able to go up as we renew leases. And that's going to drive up the NOI, the income, the net operating income. And when the net operating income starts going up, now automatically the property gets revaluated at a higher price. So that way we can refinance or sell the property at the time.
All right. A simple upgrade to the, let's say, kitchen or maybe landscaping make your home like instantly like appealing, right?
Yeah, I think kitchens, bathrooms, landscaping. It's gotta look good on the outside, feel good, and look good on the inside as well. So people are comfortable, right? It's clean, yet still affordable.
All right. Let's say if it's like near a beach, could you like remodel a simple house to make it into like a rental unit or rental vacation unit?
Oh, of course. I mean, if you have a place by the beach and people who are looking at short-term rentals, right, near a lot of entertainment, downtown, beach, amusement parks, nature, right? People who are trying to look to get away. Those are phenomenal properties to look for. You just got to manage it correctly.
Right. And you know what they say, invest in a location with high growth potential.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to look at location, location, location. That's with everything. Whether you're in a property that's in path of progress, right? Are there new airports going by? Are there stadiums being built around it, right? Is like, home improvement stores like Home Depot or Lowe's moving into that area as well? Is there a Whole Foods in that area? I mean, these are all really, really important things that you have to look for to make sure that you put yourself in the right location.
Now, how can you like provide an excellent service to, to the tenants, possible tenants?
Yeah, and that's where property management comes in. A good property management or a bad one can make or break the whole deal cycle, because property managements are the ones that is completely directly engage with the customers and with the tenants. So having a good property management, having someone, whether it's on site or a maintenance person, who is working around and dealing with people with a relationship business, is so important, because we're all service based. Even though we are in the rental space, right? Apartment complexes. But really, what it comes down to is people. You got to work with people correctly and do it right, and treat people well. Treat people how you really want to be treated.
That is correct. And you mentioned about like working with the right people. What advice can you give to, to our real estate investors to hire the right people?
Well, for us, is when they invest with us, is we're going to be doing the vetting, right? But for people who are working with other investors, you have to ask them like, hey, how do you know this property management? How do you know that they're going to do well, right? What are the properties that they've had before? Can you talk with other owners who have used the same property management? But then also, if they say, well, I'm also managing these other apartments, have them give you like three names. Then you go on to the Google reviews and look at how well are these apartments rated. You see, if they're rated well, then that's fantastic. But if they're not rated well, then you have to really question, do you have a good property management company?
Mhm. And then you know what they say, like prioritize like quality over speed, right? And what can you like say about it?
Well, here's the thing is the quality of the property will always be will trump any speed that people are looking for. Some people are looking for quick money, quick turnarounds, right? Multifamily investing is not like the stock market. It's not something that is volatile that just jumps up and down. Multifamily investing is for people who are in it for the long haul, right? A lot of the properties that we invest in or others have invested with us are refinanced between year 3 and year 5, where people are getting between 60 to 100% of their money back. And then it just, because you now don't have that much skin in the game anymore, the property continues to cash flow at a very high rate. For example, if you invested 100,000 and during year 4 you were able to pull out 80%, now you have 20,000 in the deal. But if you're still cash flowing very similarly, now your money that you just left in there, the 20%, is cash flowing at a very, very high rate. So the quality of the property and the location of the property, how well it's managed, in real estate, we always say you got to make sure you buy right, you finance it right, and then you have to manage it right. Thank you so much. And for those of you who have not yet subscribed, make sure you subscribe to our channel, where we give a lot of insightful ways of how you can hedge against any recession or inflation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Candy.
Thank you, Alex. See you next week.